Welcome, everybody, to episode 3 of our podcast, the ST Roundtable. I have Airthrow from the Northwest joining me today. How are you doing, man?
What's up, man? I'm doing
Not
good.
much. Been a good month for ST for tournaments. We had 3 of them. Well, I don't know. Northwest was kind of
Northwest
a bit
was
ago.
November, but
close enough.
close enough.
All right, so we're just going to talk some ST news a little bit. We had those 3 tournaments. In order, we had Northwest Majors. They ran ST. This is all arcade ST also. NEC ran ST. And just yesterday, because today is December 18th, SoCal Regionals did ST as well. And that had a pretty big turnout. I'm impressed. I'm looking at the results right now. You're from the Northwest. You're from Washington. Are you from Seattle? I forgot.
Well, I live outside Seattle now. I'm originally from Chicago, but I started getting serious about games mostly in Seattle. So, if you get Chicago listeners, most of them probably will not have heard of me. But I do represent Northwest game-wise, though.
All right. What all did you have to do with Northwest Majors, or were you just a participant?
No, I was a little more than a participant. There were 2 cabs there, which we ran Super Turbo on, and I provided one of them, which was a new Astro City, and then Julian Beasley had his Egret 2 there. And the one we streamed, the top 8 on the last day, was my cab. I don't know if maybe somebody saw it on the stream or something. Nice. And then I was unofficial, arcade tech for the weekend since, stuff breaks down all the time.
Oh, dude, every tournament, I swear. I love this game, but man, is it hard to play.
Yeah. It's like a part-time job keeping, cabs up so that people can play on them and stuff.
And they get pretty worn out in tournaments. They get moved around. That's not good for them.
Yeah, they're going to get banged up. So if you're one of those collectors who, wants to keep your stuff pristine, then don't bring your stuff to a tournament if you care.
Oh, that's for anything, not even arcades. If you even have a stick or controller, don't bring that to a tournament.
People bring these nice exotic hardwood sticks to a tournament, and I'm like, dude, I bring an H-Wrap. It has tape on it with my name. I don't care,
I actually have one of those sticks that's made of maple curly wood and all that stuff. It was my first stick I made when HD Remix first launched. I was like, okay, this is it. I'm gonna be really big into this. I got this nice stick. The thing broke down 3 months after having it, and I've had nonstop issues with it ever since. That's 3 years ago almost now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jesus, man. So, yeah.
I mean,
don't bring that to tournaments.
I've had, many sticks, and I have, dedicated loaners that, people, if they're at a tournament, they want to play, I'll here, take this, and I really don't care. I mean, don't, intentionally abuse it. But actually, I had a front page article on SRK, which someone nominated it for front page, but basically it just said, their arcade parts, don't be so oversensitive if people mash on them when they borrow it,
I actually had someone knee bash. I had a Hori EX2, and the dude lost. And I saw the guy do it. It was a Ken, his medium kick knee bash. He did that once. So I was like, oh, no.
He did that on your stick?
On my stick, yeah. I mean, granted, It's just an EX2, but you don't do that to someone else's stick.
Wow.
Words were said.
That's not what I meant, but...
Yeah. All right, let's get back to the tournament here.
Okay.
The results I'm looking that Kuropi posted, I don't see how many people actually entered, but there are top 8. We have Afro Cole, probably one of my favorite Dolphins to watch play, him and Sabin. I love watching both of them. I actually had the pleasure to finally play him at Evolution this year.
Jason Cole?
Yes.
Okay.
Jason Cole, sorry, yeah. It actually got streamed after the tournament. If you watch the tournament stream, right after Daigo and Damn I play, me and Cole look at each other. Yeah, we jumped right on. We just started playing.
Yeah.
And then Zas, who I actually met for the first time also, same weekend in Vegas.
Okay.
Lord BBH. Is he from Northwest with you guys?
He's a Portland player.
Portland, because he knocked me out in the team draft that we did at Evolution.
Quick BBH thing, people here know him. I don't think he's that well known, but he is really good, and not only at Super Turbo, but every game I've ever seen him touch, including I was at a retro game convention once, and I saw BBH play the original Tron arcade game. You know that one?
Yeah. Yep.
He played that
circle in the middle.
Yeah, he played it for 50 minutes straight. I watched him, and he knows all the patterns. Every game, he's just ridiculously good at.
He's a really nice guy, too.
He's
no, I think after Vegas, people really learned who he was. Because he even almost beat Damdai. And that's a really rough match.
Dictator?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, then at 4th place, we have Grant Shadowless Laughlin. I don't know who that is. Is he local flavor?
Yeah, he's a Seattle player, and he actually eliminated me after I sent him to losers. I lost the double elimination, so he's a good player.
Okay, it looks like he played Dictator Chun-Li. A lot of Dictators up in your guys' area.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I play him
I'm looking at 3 of them right now.
Yeah.
Then, tied for 5th, we have Bionic Fraud and Sunglasses Tony, Guile and DJ, respectively. And then some scrub in 7th place, Jason Excelento. No, Airthrow, you got 7th place. Congrats on that.
Thank you.
It wasn't an 8-man tournament, was it?
No.
Okay.
It was well over 20, I'm not sure, though. And actually, Jason Nelson, if you guys know, he's a very old school player, and he didn't show up for top 8, so that's why he got 7th. I'm sure he would have got higher. I don't even know why he didn't show up on Sunday.
Let's see. You played boxer. Like, who did you have like a really rough matchup that whole tournament or anything, or is it just easy sailing until top 8?
No. What happened was, I think what happened was there was a bracket mess up where they ran it as like 2 separate 16-man tournaments with buys and stuff. So that's kind of why the double jeopardy thing happened, where I lost to Grant, who I sent to losers, I think. So the brackets were kind of shady, but and then that's why Sunglasses Tony got to top 8, because he won once and then made it to top 8. I don't know how that happened. So,
not even top 8. He got 5th. He beat 2 other people in top 8. That's kind of messed up just for getting 1 win.
No. I mean, he got into like coming back for finals on Sunday when he only played 1 human being first. But Saturday when we were qualifying, I did play Jason Cole, and I did actually beat 2 really good Zangief players, XTG and Arcaido. XTG, again, a lot of people don't know him. He used to live up here, now he lives in Texas, but he is a Zangief purist, and he has eliminated 2 Japanese players at EVO before, so he's very legit.
Never met the man.
Yeah, Arcaido he started with HDR, but he's working on his Super Turbo. Very good at HDR. I'm sure he would beat me at HDR, but I still got him in Super Turbo so far.
I actually do know him. He posts in Shoryuken General Discussion. I post there too. Not so much anymore. But
oh yeah, he's a hilarious troll on SRK, but he's really funny in real life. He's a nice guy.
And so many people bite when he trolls. He gets everybody. It's hilarious. But no, I play him quite a bit. It's funny when I get on GGPO, which is really rare, because that means I have a working stick. But when I do get on, he's usually on, and people are always hounding him and calling him out on anything. People hate him on there.
Well,
just because he used to play HD Remix.
Yeah, I mean...
I understand if you don't like the game, but don't dog on a cool dude just because he used to play something you don't like.
Yeah, I would never trash someone just for playing HDR. I mean, but I have been in like some of the epic HDR SD Flame Wars and stuff. And in fact, I think that's why Howard invited me to join Don't Blow This, because I was repping Super Turbo on some of those. But he is a really nice guy. And funny story, like a lot of people, you know how he has the My Asian Wife shtick?
Oh yeah, that's been for years. I started posting on SRK in 06, and he's been doing it since then at least.
Well, funny story, I always assumed he was some creepy white dude, because that's his, shtick is like every post, My Asian Wife. And then I agreed to fix some sticks up for him, like mod some sticks for him. So he shows up at my house, and he's like, hey, I'm Arcaido, and he's an Asian dude, so that's why it was awkward but hilarious.
I guess I had always assumed he was white too.
Yeah. That's what he's going for. And then a couple of people are like, he's not white, he's black, but actually he is Asian.
Well, secrets revealed on the podcast.
Yeah. I don't know if he'll be mad, because maybe it might get out and then his trolling will be less efficient, but yeah. So overall, it was Northwest Majors was kind of, Northwest Majors 1 and 2 were like super planned, well ahead and stuff, and this totally kind of, Brento Box is the one who owns it, and definitely he kind of fell off the face of the planet like the months preceding it. He had some, life stuff come up, so I was actually thinking that it might not even happen, but it totally went down, and it was a fun tournament. I wish I could have done better. I did, win a game off of Cole when I matched up against him, but did you see that post someone did where they talked about Jason Cole and how he has like the highest comeback potential of like all top players?
I did not. I know he doesn't. If you play him in tournament and you play him in casuals, it's like playing a whole different person.
Oh
now.
yeah. Oh yeah. Like I can beat him, all the time in casual, but it doesn't matter. But I think it was who is it? Who has that curry allergy?
What? I don't know.
You know that curry allergy top blog spot? It's one of those players. Who's that blogger?
Oh, that's the name of a site. I thought you just asked like legit.
No.
Curry allergy. I don't know.
No, there's that Blanca player who has a really good Super Turbo blog, and he did like a... He did a statistical analysis of like top players and like their comeback potential, and Cole had like by far the highest. So like even, I think I won the first game, and I'm like, yeah, that doesn't matter. Like I can't like rest at all because, it's Jason Cole. Like even if I have full advantage and then he just has one round left, it's like, oh man, you got to play him to understand the pressure,
Yeah, when I do play him, it's always a Dazomir. Or I shouldn't say always, at the one time it was a Dazomir, so there's really no pressure. It's just who can drill the most.
Yeah.
Oh, I got super. My turn.
Mm-hmm. And like you were talking about Cole and Saban, and I've played Saban one time. I money matched him at Evo 2008, and it's just amazing how every Dhalsim player, it's like a completely different character depending on their style, like more than other characters, I think.
Yeah, I play an extremely rushdown Dhalsim, actually. A lot of people will say, oh, I see you used a rushdown matchup to play against someone. I'm like, no, that's just how I play.
Okay.
I'm more comfortable in people's face with Dhalsim, unless you're T-Hawk.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
All right, so that was the third Northwest Majors, right?
Yeah, Northwest Majors.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, next. In early December, we had NEC, Northeast Championships. I don't know which year they're on, how many they've done, but...
It just says NEC 2011. I don't know, but there's been a lot.
It's an old tournament. It's been around.
Did you watch it? Was there a stream?
I haven't watched any tournaments. I don't have a good enough internet connection, so when I do try to watch, it's like a slideshow.
Oh, okay.
So I don't even try anymore.
That's why when I played you on online, it was like a slideshow too, and then we're like...
Yeah. Alien vs. Predator was okay on.
Yeah.
All right, so their results. They had 36 players. That's huge.
That's a lot.
That's a lot for Super Turbo, because a lot of people get scared to enter. There's this is a true thing, too. Everyone that enters is really fucking good.
Yeah, I think...
you don't get casual scrubs entering
games,
ST.
You get the casual people who are like, well, I'll just have fun. But they don't want to enter Super Turbo because they know, like, old man Salt,
Oh, you'll get bodied if you don't know what you're doing.
Bad.
You go 2-0 in 2 seconds. You're like, what happened? Yeah. All right, so first place, to no one's surprise, Damdai.
Yes.
He played Ohawk, Old Ryu, Old Ken. Someone should remind him it's Super Turbo, not just Super.
Yeah, not Super.
Second place, also a very well-known player, Ganelon. He was on the last episode. He played Claw and only Claw. As he mentioned last time, he really only does play Claw unless it's casual, so he'll play someone else. But Third place, Mars Gotti, coming out of the woodwork. He's a real fun guy to watch. I really can't think of any better Guile in America, can you?
Well, he shall not be named, but Axel Kelly's pretty good, but Mars is on a little bit stronger than him. But Axel's very good, too. He's also a Seattle area player.
Yeah, I know Axel. I've played him in Vegas. I don't know. I thought Mars had better reads. That's just me, though.
No. Mars is definitely better, but...
Yeah. Tech Monkey got fourth place. That's Chris Doyle.
Oh, that's who that is. I did not. Yep. I never connected those names. Okay.
He's one of the better chuns that we have in the country. And all four of those guys are Don't Blow This members. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. Then fifth place, Psycho Chronic. He's from Canada.
Yeah.
And he has that freaky piercing that he'll look at you and he'll start moving it with his tongue. So the piercing on the outside moves on its own. It's weird.
Oh, That would get in my head if I had to play that guy.
It's like a 2-inch spike coming out of his chin.
Okay.
And then also tied with Psychochronic was Savin, Dolphin player in 5th place. And then 7th place ties were Jarone, I don't know him, and Steve H, who I've heard the name, but I
He's
can't
an old school player, I think.
Mm-hmm. I can't put a face to him. He played Old Sagat.
Okay.
And it looks like they had teams with 15 teams of 2v2s.
I'm impressed.
That's 30 people. Not many people do that.
Yeah.
Top 3 were only posted. We have Damdai with Old Hawk and Ganelon. That's a pretty beefy team.
They shouldn't have been allowed to do that.
An old Ken probably would have beaten that team pretty good, though.
Well, is there a Ken that's as good as Damdai?
No, I'm just thinking, who can you pick that could beat both of those characters? And even though, that's about all I can think of.
Yeah.
And then 2nd place, Mars Gotti, and Comeback. I do not know Comeback. He did not get top 8 in the
I don't know
singles.
that guy either. I'd be interested to see how many. Was Mars carrying him, or did they both get wins? That'd be kind of interesting if he was getting wins too.
Maybe if Mars's name was first, maybe that was the case. Not to disrespect Comeback, but
we haven't heard of him.
Yeah. And 3rd place for the teams is Tech Monkey, Chun, of course, and Mike Idge, a Ryu player. I don't know him either. Also, Tech Monkey should be noted. He runs most of the streams for Don't Blow This. It's his equipment. He gets the stuff going, I believe.
Okay.
I believe it's either his or Howard's equipment. I forgot who it was. I know Chris is usually the one sitting there when the stream is running.
Okay.
All right, so that's a huge tournament for ST. It was probably a $5, probably not $10. I can't imagine them getting 36 people at $10. If so, that's amazing.
It's weird how the difference, and I've noticed it too, like in the Northwest, the difference between $5 and $10 for ST. It's crazy how many more people are willing to throw $5 in.
I've gone over this with John and Damda in the first episode, but would you really want a $5 tournament and have more people, or $10 and have a little bit less people?
Well, I know what answer, Jason Cole would put. Like, Jason Cole is always like, it should be $50 high roller only. I'm like, yeah, I know why you say that, buddy. But
what about you, though?
It's, I've gotten in the money a few times, but I don't ever anticipate getting in the money. So usually I would go with what will get more people, but $5 is so low that it's kind of hard on the winners, and I feel like, they deserve a little bit more. It'd be cool if someone, or like if there was a sponsor that could throw in the pot or something so that you could get more people $5 and the winners get some extra, but I'd probably say $10 because I don't have a lot of sympathy for people who don't want to pay an extra $5, but
I would say 10 also, because if you're going to get $5, you're not going to get twice as many entrants.
Yeah, it won't even out for the winners for sure. So
and I'm not even concerned about for the winners. I mean, I would get in the money myself too, but I'd rather see more people enter a tournament. But at the same time, you're not going to double up the amount of people that want to enter. You might get like maybe 5 more
10
people.
More, yeah.
So I'm with you on that. $10. As I said before, for the $50 ones, that's fun. I think they have a place, and they shouldn't be every single tournament.
I've always said those should be side tournaments, but I would enter one. But we haven't gotten that one. We haven't got one together in the Northwest yet, and I haven't been to EVO in a couple of years. So
I like seeing it at Vegas. I like seeing it at Seasons Beatings. I can't think of too many other tournaments where it's really appropriate.
Yeah, for sure. Agreed.
All right, so that's NEC. And then just yesterday, SoCal Regionals, and that's actually being streamed right now. I was watching Street Fighter 4 and said, this is boring. Let's do a podcast.
Yeah, I was actually kind of mad at you. It totally wasn't in the spirit of the podcast to make me wait so you could watch Street Fighter 4 final.
I was wanting to watch Latif, I'll be honest.
Okay. I like that guy.
He's fun to watch, and a friend of mine knows him. He speaks to him, he says they're really cool dudes. I'm like, yeah, I'll watch Latif. And then he lost. I'm like, all right. I don't care about Rufus and some Utah guy.
Oh, was a Rufus player in the finals?
Well, it was Justin and Ricky.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay, so they had, it doesn't say how many people? 38 entrants, though, just counted.
Oh, that's good.
That's really good, also.
Sweet turnout, yeah.
First place is, where the hell did he come from? Afro Legends.
We haven't seen him in a long time. When is the last time he's been in a Super Turbo tournament? Like,
slightly
while, right?
after. Well, I guess I'm counting HD Remix also, but yeah, they're close enough for me. I'll consider it. Right after he won Evolution.
Yeah,
That's
I
the last
haven't
time I've
heard of him
from
at all. And then people were like, "Man, he's way too good. He should be playing more." I don't know.
Mm-hmm. He was doing the California tournaments there. He went. Didn't the Family Fun Arcade in California have Super Turbo ran bets? And I think he went to some of those that Sweet Johnny V ran.
Okay, I don't know. Is Sweet Johnny V in California now? I thought he was New York.
He's always been California.
Oh, okay. And then the other cool thing is Alex Valle got second, which is cool.
Yep, he's fun to play. It's very unpredictable Ryu.
I always kind of cheer for him because, he's just so old school, and he was at one time, the best American player like overall. So definitely a big benefit. The
fact that he can still play so well in not just old games either. He does well in 4.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you won't see him in Marvel. He's more fundamental than Big Combo.
Yeah. I played him at Evo before, and I've never played anyone who remotely had the same style as you. He's definitely in your head more than like most other players,
Mm-hmm. Okay, third place is the Muffin Man. I don't know this guy.
I don't know the guy either. I was hoping you did.
I swear I've seen that name before on SRK, like selling sticks, selling stuff, and like modding stuff. I could be completely wrong. I don't know any characters there's no characters listed here. And then fourth place, Kuropi. Props to you, man. I think he listens to this podcast.
Good job, man.
He sets up a lot of tournament results. He has his own website where it has like every single big tournament in history, and he has full results for everything.
Which site is that? I forget the name of it.
I don't have it up right here. I could find it. Let's go over more results while that's loading.
Okay. So fifth is Paper Cut and tied with Digital Infamy.
Yep, and I met Digital Infamy in Vegas this year also. He plays an old school Ryu. I think he's old school himself also, but the way he plays Ryu, it's very reminiscent of like Choi, almost. Choi and
very by the books, just hella good.
Yeah, and just insanely good reactions.
He's Paper Cut though.
He is a Hawk player. If it's who I think it is, there's a forum poster that's like Danger's S Paper Cut or something like that.
Yeah, I know that guy. I didn't know if they were related.
That's my assumption. Okay. I know he's actually a really good Talk player, so that would make the most sense. In seventh place, Blue Tall Cans, Antonio from California. I like to see him come back more. He's a real cool dude. I met him a couple years ago.
I've heard the name, but I don't know.
He plays Blanca. He's one of the better Blancas we have in the country also.
Is he a HDR player?
I think he plays HDR, yeah.
Okay, I think
he was playing ST before HDR came out, though.
Oh, okay.
And then Synco, Synco. I don't know who that is. Probably just a California local.
Good job on seventh, though.
Yeah, California has a lot of locals that you probably have never heard of that can probably beat you.
Oh, yeah.
Listen. Oh, I mean, it's just, when you got such a scene so big, you go to an arcade and some guy, he only shows up a couple times and he just runs through people. It's like, who is this guy? Oh, he doesn't go to tournaments. It's not like fighting random businessmen in Japan, but it's still a possibility. And then ninth place, we have Namra from Ohio. I wonder if he traveled out there just for the tournament or if he moved. And then Fromo, Blanca player. I play him on GGPO quite a bit. And then Bioside and Zaspacer. I know Zaspacer's name. I don't know who he plays.
I've heard his name too.
All right, and that's pretty much. Congrats to the winners on that. Congrats, Afro Legends. I hope to see you come out more for matches, man.
Me too.
That's pretty much all we got for ST tournaments. Not much else in the news for Super Turbo. We got some esports. God, that I just kind of die a little bit inside when
people say that. Yeah.
Oh, before I get too far, the Kuropi's website is www.kuropi, KUROPPI.com/tournament results altogether. And you can go to each section. You can just scroll down. It's sorted by country, it looks like. And you can see how terrible I've done, anyone who's done. Midwest Championships. I'm looking at NorCal Regionals, Revelations, Seasons Meetings, UFGT. He's got all of the majors there. And then he also hosts this player interview that he does, which he actually just did an Afro Legends interview. I have not read that, though.
I've read the player interviews. They are really good. You guys should check them out.
They're in depth. There's a lot of detail in them.
Because a lot of the player interviews, people do go over the same stuff over and over again, but he kind of brings out the stuff that we haven't heard before, so they're really good.
Yeah, most of the interviews like, well, how long have you been playing Super Turbo? What made you play Super Turbo? You know,
yeah,
good questions. It's fun to talk about, but it gets kind of it gets aged after a while.
Yeah, when you ask like cliche questions, you're gonna get only cliche answers, and so your interview is gonna be super lame sounding.
And there's gonna be awkward silence.
Yeah,
when the answer's shorter than you expected.
Yeah.
All right, so back to that whole. Well, basically, who is it? Some president of one of the pro gaming leagues. I think it's VVV. I don't know who it was. Just started talking shit about fighting game players, and not the players, but the whole community, and how we like being stuck in obscurity and will never succeed. Blah blah blah.
Is that guy the guy who runs MLG?
Not who runs MLG, no.
Okay.
From what I've read, MLG themselves have done this whole situation very well, stayed out of it. Just they were pretty respectful from what I've read on this.
Okay.
But and then so Inkblot, who runs Evolution, owns Shoryuken, one of the co-creators of the website.
These are the Cannons for people who don't know, Tom and Tony Cannon. I don't know which twin is which, and when I see them, I can't tell which is which because I've never spent enough time with them. But
they are identical twins.
Yeah.
And so Inkblot has a reply saying pretty much, why do we need you? Your history, any pro gaming history with fighting games has been ass, etc. 2005.
So he started a thread on SRK? Is that how it started?
He did. He wrote an article even.
Okay.
And then it turned into a thread that he made. And it's just like going back and forth. Basically, he's saying that why would pro gaming leagues pick up Dead or Alive instead of Street Fighter or any of the premier fighting games, etc.
Sure.
And it's kind of blown up in the past 2 weeks. I'm not following it too big, but it's a lot of fun just to read people's reactions. And what it boils down to is, do fighting games really need MLG or a pro gaming league?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? Do we? Or
it's kind of interesting. I remember one night, like a couple of years ago, Julian Beasley used to have a lot of Super Turbo gatherings at his house on his cabinet. And this player, Mandel, who's really good, shout out to Mandel, he's called Dizo online. And so he was watching these YouTube videos of whatever that show was that had Dead or Alive. What was the show called? I don't even know.
Cyber something.
Yeah.
World Cyber. I don't know.
What network was it on? G2?
G4, yeah.
G4, whatever. So he had the videos open of that guy Swoozy, who's kind of the face of Dead or Alive on the network, where he's like the most personable guy or whatever. And for some reason, it is just hilarious to watch people take Dead or Alive seriously, And I mean, they love their game. Good for them. More power to them. And I mean, they're on TV, but like you see the coaches, and I'm doing air quotes, you can't see them, but the coaches where in between rounds, the coaches like give advice, more air quotes, to the players, and they're like, you can beat them. And it's just very Hollywood and corny, So I mean, do we need that? And why are they wearing headsets when they're playing a fighting game?
Yeah, I've never understood. There's very few instances like Daigo. He will wear headphones because he doesn't like the crowds.
Right. Well, I listen to music, but I mean,
everybody boos him.
A gamer headset to like communicate,
Right, and
I assume it's like some Xbox sponsorship support or something that makes they're contractually obligated to wear a useless headset. But
they were told that they have to wear that by someone high up.
I'm sure. Yeah.
And it's, well, they do it in this game. Why don't they do it in every game? They're all the same. They're just video games, right?
Yeah.
It's like every single movie's the same. Every book ever published is the same.
Well, so anyways, about like, do we need that? That's an interesting question because a lot of people kind of I think this kind of goes a bit of a schism between like the new, and when I say new, I usually mean like post Street Fighter 4 players.
Yeah, that's a huge wall barrier.
There's a huge difference in like their philosophy and their approach, because they don't, they probably didn't come from an arcade background, and that's a huge difference in and of itself, So I feel like I'm one of the only people who doesn't particularly care if there's like professional or people who can, pay all their bills just on fighting games. I mean, more power to them if they can, but I wouldn't say that we should ever become pro or, on TV or whatever at the expense of what we already have at all. Like if it can add only, then fine. But if it's going to take something, then I'm against it.
Right, and that's my biggest thing too. I agree with you 100% on that. Why can't we just keep our existing tournaments that we have? They are all big names. Our calendar, this is what I post on Don't Blow This. Our calendar is saturated with
You can't go
majors.
to all the events we already have.
And so to add another one, that's just only going to take away from the existing ones. And of course, people will go to an MLG if they can say $10,000 on the line or $1,000 on the line at somewhere else. Where are you going to go?
Or just be on TV or something.
And then also, if you look at history, like Smash Brothers and Tekken, they didn't work with the existing tournaments then. They set up their own and said, you can come to this or you can go to those backwater places and might not get your money. And so why would they do anything different now? Why would they change what they've done in the past for us? They won't. I mean, they won't. They will do their own majors. And then as an ST player, I've made a rule.
They have nothing for us.
There's absolutely nothing for us. They will pick one game, maybe two if they're feeling generous. And you know what 2 games those would be?
Right.
I'll give you a hint. One ends in 4, the other ends in 3.
Yeah. It starts with Ult.
Yes, and Super Street Fighter 4.
Yeah. I feel like there's like all this risk if we abandon what we're doing to like try to experiment with MLG. But if you consider where they started with B2 in the 90s to where we are now, I would rather trust the Cannons to take care of the community because they were there when it was nothing. And from their guidance and Evo, we've gone to, hundreds of thousands of people on the streams and thousands of people at Evo. I don't see why Evo can't do without MLG and keep growing with just the Cannons who are trustworthy. And I'm not saying like MLG people are that shady. Like I don't know that much about it, but it's just way too risky to me to kind of take away from Evo the prestige because, Evo is the American championship, like the de facto American championship. Like if you win Super Turbo at Evo, you're the American champion for that year.
Right. And that's another thing. We're successful. Why do we need to change?
I think people are greedy.
And that's just only going to benefit a few people. Actually, the most people that are advocates for this are the new people that have never gone 1 and 2 even in the tournament.
Yeah.
It seems like.
And the other thing, I'm not sure who that guy was. There was the guy on the one stream kind of trashing the Cannons a little bit. And
that was the president of VVV.
Okay.
If you're thinking of the stream that had Spooky on it?
Yeah.
Yep, he was the president of VVV.
And that's some gaming league or something?
They sponsor players. I don't really know the exact details about them.
Okay.
But
I don't know. I admire about our scene how organic it is and how it's very grassroots and, for the players, by the players. One thing I would like to stress to people, and I said that on the forums, but one thing I'd like to stress again is the organizers, put a lot on the line as far as their finances, because the organizers are the ones who pay for the venue, the equipment, etc. So, I mean, Evo each year, I'm sure it probably makes money or whatever, but they're putting up at Evo, I don't know their finances, but to do that, I'm sure it's in the tens of thousands. So we really need to stop worrying. I don't know if it's everywhere or just the Northwest, but people kind of worry whether the organizers make money. And I mean, if you go and have a whole weekend of entertainment for like $30 or whatever you pay for multiple tournaments, the organizers spent countless hours you didn't see doing preparation and stuff. So if they make anything, and a lot of them lose money, if anything, it's, pennies per hour. So I think that's one way that could make our community grow is if we don't worry about if the organizers or the stream people make money. It seems kind of like a crab in the barrel thing. Like no one should make money except for the people who win. But if you want professionalism, you know, people do need to get reimbursed for their expenses and stuff. So I don't know. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, and back to the organizers. Why can't MLG come to our current tournament organizers, who are big, trusted names, and come to them and say, hey, we would like to run an MLG event at your tournament.
Mm-hmm.
You can do whatever you need to do. Do whatever you did to keep people coming, which means Street Fighter 4 and other games, not just one fighter. But we also want our name on there.
Right. Well, I mean, that would make
that?
it just a sponsorship, I guess, and they want more control probably. But if I had my event, you know, earlier, and that was my first event, and I was pretty proud of how it went. It was called Battle for Seattle, and as soon as you do it, you know, it becomes your baby, you know, and I would never cede that much control. Like, I'd rather lose money than have a sponsor who is, you know, trying to tell me what to do, you know.
Or possibly run, because they have cross-genre events. They're going to do their first-person shooters and whatever they want all together. Mm-hmm. They could have that in a different room in a ballroom, you know, at the same event.
We've had multiple tournaments at, I think, Northwest Majors and maybe one of the Random Select, which is a tournament in Oregon. But we had Smash Brothers before, and
it never ends well.
It doesn't end well. Like, I think they contributed toward helping the venue or whatever. But I think at the time, like, you know, in the HDR SF4 era, kind of, the theory was, like, a lot of these people would get the casual games with Smash and whatever, and they would be at the venue and see more hardcore games like Super Turbo, and they would go, oh man, this is the real game? I should play this. And there would be, like, some crossover. Never happened.
We were dreamers back then.
We were dreamers. Like, I thought Street Fighter 4 would get a lot of people into the old games, and that did not happen because it's just, you know, a different philosophy to the game or whatever. So if you're going to do these cross events or whatever, only think of it as they're helping pay the venue, because there's not going to be any crossover. It just doesn't happen, like, to any statistical significance, you know.
And plan on sparks flying, because fighting game people don't like other games. We just don't.
Yeah.
Look at Evo 05. They're booing everyone.
Who were they booing?
All the MLG, all the Halo players, all the Smash players.
Oh, yeah.
Well, to be fair, they did take up 3/4 of the ballroom as opposed to half and half.
Yeah.
But, oh well.
I mean, like, but you do, some of that hate is warranted, though. I mean, I've never before seen at a tournament someone pop Ritalin as a performance-enhancing drug before I saw Smash players, so.
Can't say I've ever seen that. I've seen weed. I've seen weed a lot. A lot of people smoke before.
I'm not sure they're trying to do performance enhancers. There's just a lot of potheads who play fighting games.
All right, we don't really have much to contribute. We're not too big into that whole topic, but
yeah.
MLG, listen to us. Not us. I mean, listen to people in the fighting game. Don't just try and say, you're making money. We need to make that money. We're going to run it. Don't do that.
It just feels like they see us as a cash cow, and I'm wondering how they could make money while giving us more. You know, it seems like there's a limited dollar amount that these events are drawing. How could them taking some of it benefit us? You know, I don't get it.
Yep. Looks like they just want to milk us for a couple years, run the current tournaments dry, and then once they're done.
When this popularity, like, eventually I'm sure fighting games are going to die down like it did, you know, in the 2000s or whatever.
I hate to say it, but it's inevitable.
They'll be gone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as soon as we're not drawing the numbers that justifies the bottom line, they'll be out. So.
All right. So earlier, I'm just going to change topics here.
Sure.
You mentioned that at Northwest Majors, you were kind of the part-time job with maintaining the arcade stuff. That's kind of a hobby of yours, isn't it? Like, just arcade equipment in general, isn't it?
Yeah, to be honest, I spend more time nowadays doing arcade stuff than actually playing Super Turbo. I have, right now in my house, I probably have 4 or 5 candy cabs between my garage and my room. it kind of has superseded Super Turbo almost as my hobby, just because it's interesting and challenging, you know.
That's fine. Do whatever's fun. I play horror games more than I play fighters right now.
I've seen how many videos of horror you upload to YouTube.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Okay, so you mentioned a lot of my viewers are from that horror. Actually, they watch my horror videos and then they'll listen to this podcast too.
Okay.
And they're not too into Street Fighter or Super Turbo like we are, so we can throw terms around. It might go over their heads. To them, what is a candy cab? What does that mean?
A candy cab just means if you guys are American, you have in the arcades you've seen like the big wooden cabinets where you stand up and you have the big American bat top stick.
We call those the big blues.
The big blues, or some people call them woodies or whatever. The Japanese cabs are called candy cabs, I think just because they're colorful or whatever. And typically they're sit-down cabinets, and they're usually made out of steel or fiberglass. And you're supposed to sit at these little stools, and for tall people it can be kind of uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
And they have Japanese parts instead of American parts, and metal control panels instead of wooden ones. So I think most newer Super Turbo players prefer the Japanese controls. I do. I started on American, but that's kind of and the other thing is if you become really nerdy about it, Japanese monitors like the Nano-Os and the Sanwa monitors tend to be just clearer and more high quality than the American monitors. So
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Are the monitor screens the same size?
It depends. Usually most American are like 19 to 25 inch, and most candy cabs are about 25 inches. Yeah. Okay.
25 seems pretty standard. Mm-hmm. 19 would be really small, actually.
19 is kind of small, but when you're actually standing right there, you don't really notice it that much after you play for a while. It's playable.
True. Not that I'm on a cabinet very often, anyway. only a couple times a year at a tournament. Yeah. All right. So let's say me, because I really don't know much about this kind of stuff.
Okay.
I have my house. I don't have a house, but in Theoryland, and I want to get an arcade ST in my house, but I don't have anything at all. What do I need? Like, step one, what do I need to get first?
There's a lot of options. If you have a house and you have money to throw around and you want the best, I would say get a candy cabinet, because nowadays, if you're trying to get more people to come over, people love to bitch about your controls. So most people prefer Japanese controls. So it's just easier to set up Japanese controls on a Japanese cabinet. And I would look into the Astro City. I prefer Sega cabinets. So like Astro City, New Astro City, and Astro City 2. There's differences between those, but you don't really need to know them. For Super Turbo, they're all pretty much the same. That's what I like. You can also get a Super Gun, which is, think of it like the console, because arcade boards don't display NTSC like your TV accepts. So if you want to play on a TV, you want to get a tube TV so that there's no lag. And just Super Turbo was meant to be displayed on a 4x3 tube. It was just not designed for a flat panel. And then the Super Gun is like a box that just turns those video signals, analog RGB, that the arcade cabinet displays into NTSC signal so your TV can play it. And then you just plug your controls in there. And then the third option, it's not arcade, but I know people are going to hate on me for this, but I think that Dreamcast Super Turbo is worthwhile.
Yeah, people are going to hate on you.
Yeah, I don't care.
I don't know the days. When NKI used to live here in the Midwest, I used to talk with him. He said it could be good with certain dip switches set, and you have a memory card saved on it.
What you do, look for a disc. It's called TDC2, made by Toodles, and it has Super Turbo, CBS2, Ikaruga, and like one other game on it. So, because Super Turbo on Dreamcast only came out in Japan, but it's like an ISO you can download online and burn it. So you load Super Turbo up. The other cool thing is you can play the music from any of those games on any of the games. So you can play like Ikaruga music while you play Super Turbo.
That would fuck with me pretty bad.
Yeah. So what you do is you hold down, you load the save state on Super Turbo, then you hold Y or medium punch while pressing A to go into the options. And then that'll get you instead of the options menu in the dip switch menu. And then you scroll down to the second dip switch option, which is the second date, and then that's the right dip switches for Arcade Super Turbo. Like I've asked people like who are hating on Dreamcast, like, okay, tell me what's wrong with it. And I mean, there's some reasons, like something's wrong with like Ochun's Fireball and like a couple other small problems. But if you are going from nothing, that's going to be the cheapest way for you to play a, playable, good, decent version of Super Turbo without getting into, because the Super Turbo board is like, in the $200 range nowadays. So
how hard is that to find?
They come up, on eBay, sometimes on the online, check the forums, but usually they're about $200 for the green Japanese version, and then the blue version, the American version, which is really, you want the blue version if you can, because that's the one that has free play. Japanese doesn't have free play. I dislike how the price keeps going up and up, but we're probably partially at fault, for that, for spreading Super Turbo. More demand, more price, or you could get a wooden cabinet. The other cool advantage of candy cabinets is that most of them are designed like New Astro Cities. They're designed for fitting in narrow Japanese doorways, because even businesses have pretty narrow doorways in Japan, I've heard. So my new Astro City is 29.5 inches, and a standard doorway is 30 inches. So that's another good reason, candy cabs, like maybe your apartment or house is too small for a wooden cabinet. So those are the options.
Nice. And another thing to remember is if you do Dreamcast, good luck finding a working Dreamcast converter these days. You'll probably have to have one made for you. It's not a common thing you're going to find anymore. Most common will be PS2 to Dreamcast. You'll most likely not be able to find your USB to Dreamcast converter. That's probably, I can't think of anyone that makes that even right now. Maybe Toodles has one that he might be able to do. Not that he keeps around though.
Yeah, there's a couple of Dreamcast converters. One of them is always lagless, and the other randomly, like during 1/62nd part, it might or might not lag one frame on one of the random frames. But basically, no human can detect that. So I can't remember what the good converter is called right now, though. But you can get them on Lixang, I think. Still, not Lixang, PlayAsia still.
Okay, so I know that with Super Turbo, people try to like bootleg that and stuff, or try to make their own boards, and you can't.
Right.
Why? What makes that so hard? I read a little bit on Don't Blows, but explain it for everyone.
Okay, so Super Turbo is a CPS2 board, and it's the only... Well, the way they make the other bootlegs is they just flash ROMs onto a common game to make a more rare game. Like Aliens vs. Predator is in like $150 range for a real one. So you can get, a crappy common game and then put some bigger EEPROMs and like flash Aliens vs. Predator on it. Or you can also even put like huge EEPROMs, and then you can bank switch and make a menu so that you can have like those 18-in-1 boards. That's how those work. But you cannot do that with Super Turbo because if you open a CPS2 B board, the game board is the B board, the A board is the motherboard. So you open the Super Turbo board, and most other games will have just one board and then some ROMs on it, right? Mm-hmm. Super Turbo has that board with some ROMs, and then another board, like a little daughter board that's smaller than the main board, plugged into the top board. And I'm not sure, it has some more ROMs and a few other components on it. I'm not sure, I think like some new characters. I'm not sure which ROMs are on there, like what's on the daughterboard ROMs, but basically you would have to make a bootleg Super Turbo, you'd have to have a daughterboard. So that's why people haven't done that yet.
Okay. And I'm going to go back, again, we have viewers that don't really know the terminology. What does it mean to flash?
Like if you say all cartridges, basically like arcade boards, that aren't CDs are just big cartridges, you know, like Sega Genesis cartridges, right? And they have the little
giant
chip.
silicone board.
Yeah, so they have the chip with inside that's called a EEPROM, and that's just like when you use emulators on your computer with those, you download the games, which are called the ROMs. Those are just dumped from, loaded onto a computer from the EEPROMs on the cartridges. So you can reflash an EEPROM. They're reprogrammable. So that's how flashing just means reprogramming the EEPROM with like a different game or whatever, what have you on there.
Okay, so just erasing the.
It's like
in a very broad
CDR,
erase
like
the old
CDR.
game and,
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, just want to make sure everyone.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Yep, and also I know like this is one of the biggest issues I think with ST boards is the battery.
Yeah.
And this was put in place to also stop bootlegging. You can't change the battery unless you know what you're doing.
You know, it's really easy to. I mean, if you know how to use a soldering iron, it's no big deal.
But you have to know you got to do it quick if you start doing it.
People exaggerate. Like when
I thought it was like a half-hour thing. If it's out for half an hour, the board.
People were acting before like, you only have 5 minutes or something like that. No, you have like at least 40 minutes, but maybe more, maybe less. You know, CPS3 is the hard one because you have to do that while the game is on and it's powered, and you don't want to drip solder onto a live board or whatever. But it's really easy. I mean, it's a big lead with a big lithium 3.3 volt battery on there. So anyways, how it works is Capcom put a security code in the ROMs for the games. And there's a battery on the CPS2 boards that power a little piece of RAM that holds the decryption key, right? So that when the game loads, it checks the status of that RAM, and if it's not there because the battery's dead, it won't boot the game. So that didn't matter because, you know, the batteries last a long time too. Like at least 5 years is conservative. I mean, they can go up to like 10 or whatever. So that didn't matter for the arcade operators because, you know, they don't really keep the games out that long. But if you're a collector, you're going to get a board and you're going to get a battery in it, and you don't know how old that battery is. And even if the guy says he's changed it, the battery costs like $6. It's not worth risking your board to not change it. But if you get a dead board, you can bring them back from the dead. It's called phoenixing.
I'm going to stop you real quick. If something happens with that battery, the battery dies and you don't replace it, we didn't mention this, the board is useless then. It kills the board for you pretty much. You can't even put a new battery in.
Yeah, what happens is if it dies, you'll try to turn the game on and it'll give you like a black or red or a blue screen. And so that's when your battery has died and the RAM that holds the decryption key, the battery powering the RAM died, so the game can't get the key that says it's not a bootleg. So, but don't throw your board out because you can still Phoenix it, which is someone named Razula figured out a way to change the code in the actual game so that it doesn't check anymore for the security code. So even if your battery is dead, you reflash the ROMs with the Phoenix versions, and those don't check for the security code. But even if your board gets Phoenix, you want to take the dead battery out because you don't want it to leak on your board. But it's just easier to buy the battery than it is to send your board into someone to Phoenix it or whatever. So those are options.
Hope it doesn't get damaged in shipping or something like that.
Or lost or something.
Yeah.
And then the other thing to consider too is a lot of collectors, I don't know why, but they don't want the Phoenix versions of the boards because they're not 100%, Capcom original. Like they value the un-Phoenix versions with the working battery more. But when I get mine, I Phoenix them because I don't want to worry about batteries, and I think it's stupid. Like Phoenixing them makes them future proof. I don't know why everyone just doesn't do it, but something to consider.
That's for collectors. I can understand if you collect and don't play. It's like having the original plastic wrap as opposed to having it open and someone else using someone else's ceramic or plastic wrap around the case.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. Collectors are collectors. They just leave them be.
But I'm just wondering, like, if you're collecting, wouldn't you want it, like, not future-proof to not leak acid on your board and kill it? But I mean, I can understand both ways, but I just prefer Phoenix. It's
Yeah. Oh yeah. If you actually play the game, they probably have never even played it since they've gotten the game.
Throw it on the shelf there.
Yeah, they have their own game showroom, and that's that.
Yeah.
All right. So outside of ST and Capcom boards, because each brand really has its own board, kind of like CPS2 and CPS3. That is a Capcom branded board. You dabble into other stuff too, though. Like you said, you were interested in Sega. On your YouTube channel, you do a bunch of things, which is youtube.com/Airthrow.
Yeah, I do have a channel. I forgot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do. Like, there's other arcade boards too, like the Sega STV, which I'm interested in. I made a video showing how to make like a kick harness for that, because there are a few fighting games on it, like Golden Axe, The Duel, and what is that other one? There's a few other fighting. Oh, and Final Fight is on there too. Final Fight,
no biggie.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm into like lots of different arcade boards and stuff. It's an expensive, rewarding, expensive hobby.
Yeah, I collect games actually myself. Horror game. I pride myself in owning almost every single horror game ever made. But those are like $10 to $20 each. Arcade stuff, that's just really ridiculously expensive to get the original stuff. It
depends. Some of my STV games are. The STV, by the way, is just the arcade version of a Sega Saturn, but it's cartridge based instead of CD. And those you can find, $10 arcade boards for days if you're on the hunt. Like eBay has a bunch of cheap ones. The thing. I kind of got into, like, how I got into this stuff in the first place was back in the day, like 2007-ish era, I wanted real arcade controls, and I saw people were modding sticks and stuff, but, I was poor, so I couldn't afford, like, back then, pretty much the only options were H-Wraps for pre-made, like, Japanese controls,
Yep, Hori Real Arcade Pro, by the way.
Hori Real Arcade Pro. Yep. And so those were like, $200-something, and I could not justify that at the time. So we were playing on Dreamcast, but I saw a guide for how, those Agitech Green Goblin sticks on Dreamcast?
Yeah, those are very good sticks, actually.
Yeah.
Very good to mod.
Yeah, good to mod. I mean, when they're brand new, the sticks are okay for a while, but then they wear out really fast. But you can fit, Sanwa parts in them easily. The only thing is the stock buttons on those sticks are 28 millimeter diameter, and Sanwas are 30 millimeter. So you have to grind the circle a little bit out of a steel plate. It takes a while, but so I, that's what I did to make a Sanwa arcade stick to play Super Turbo on. And so then, I did that just for me, and then people were asking me, "Oh, can you mod my stick? Can you mod my stick?" And back then was before, the Street Fighter 4 craze had. Everyone mod sticks now, no big deal. But back then it was kind of not that many people did it type thing. So I did it for me, and then I started taking on, people. I would do it, for free or cheap for friends, and then eventually I got to the point where people were sending me through the mail their stick to mod, And so I did that for a long time, but I mean, there's not a ton of money in it. People are going to give you like $25, $30 to mod their stick, but so it kind of supplemented what I was spending on games and tournaments and stuff like that. Eventually, though, I got kind of bored because, I mean, after you learn most stick mods, it's pretty much by the books. There's not that much challenge in it. So I made a super gun, those things that play arcade boards on TV, and that's how I got my first real Super Turbo setup, and then eventually I got my first cabinets and stuff, and then it kind of took off,
I love when hobbies do that.
Well, I mean, to be honest, like,
it's just like an addiction almost.
Well, I mean, I take a lot of projects on that I get paid to do, like, arcade-wise, like repairs and stuff now, and I mean, a lot of it, basically, it pays for my arcade hobby and then a little bit, And I'm intending pretty soon. I'm going on vacation next month, but after I come back, I've already checked out a rental space, and I've kind of outgrown my garage and room with this kind of stuff. So eventually I already have a website, but eventually I'm going to try to do it full time. So
What's that website?
you can go now if you want. There's not really that much on there. The trailer for Battle for Seattle is on there.
Oh, okay. It's a work in development then.
Yeah, it's a work in development type thing. TopTiertronic.com. It'll be up in, a couple months with an order page and stuff like that, but it's pretty much a placeholder right now. But thanks for the shout out though.
Oh, that's right. All right, we're coming up on time. We're actually just hit a minute. An hour. Minute, hour, same thing. What's the difference?
Yep.
Thanks for coming on, man. It was great.
Oh, thanks for having me. It was fun.
I love talking that kind of arcade stuff. I'm still really in the dark on what to do with that kind of stuff, but it's some of the most interesting stuff to watch, I think. Again, if you really want to look at this, go to www.youtube.com/airthrow. He's got some good tutorials on what to do with arcade stuff. Again, thanks for coming on. Any last shout-outs you want to give out for anything we just talked about? Or
just shout-outs to the Northwest. We're kind of in a little bit of a lull right now, but as far as Super Turbo-wise, as soon as I come back from vacation, I'm historically I've been like the big motivator to get people to play Super Turbo, so I'll have more time when I come back from vacation, and you guys will see us at some majors probably.
I know your guys' low is better than almost the rest of the country's Super Turbo scene, though.
Yeah, like our low is 15, 20, so
I convince a friend or two every other week to play HD Remix with me. That's how it gets with me.
We're doing pretty good then. That's a sad story.
It's Iowa. You can't expect much out of a barren wasteland.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you everyone for listening to the Super Turbo Roundtable podcast, and we will see you guys next month.